Hi everyone, welcome back. Today I want to talk about activations, and people throw that word around, and I know I've used it, and I had a vague idea of what that meant, but until recently I dove deeper into actually what it is, and I wanted to share it with you guys. So we come into this planet, and I would say not even just this planet, but every experience that we incarnate into, we come in with this kind of contract or idea of what we want to accomplish in this experience. And throughout our experience here, we come into people, situations, trials, tribulations, heartaches, births of children. The list is endless. But here's the thing, is each incarnation, we have this idea of what we want to accomplish. But while we're here, we have this free will. And I know there's a lot of different ways to look at free will. But essentially, if I break it down, we have the option of choosing our own adventure, meaning we can decide how we get to our destination by the free will that we choose every day in every way. So no matter where you are on the spectrum of frequency, we have the everyday choices in our lives to choose what activates us. So let's say I'm just going to go through a day for me. So I get up in the morning, and this is not great, but after I feed the dogs and I cuddle them for a little while, I look at my phone, and the first thing I check is Schumann resonance. And then I'll check the weather, and then I'll usually check if there's any text messages. I know that's not the best way to start my day, but I have this conditioned response inside of me that's my routine. So by me doing that, I'm choosing the activation of technology, right? Of going outside of myself and experiencing whatever wants to come in and kind of set my tone for the day. Now, after that, I get dressed and I go out into nature for about an hour. And that's kind of, for me, my reset of finding my my 0 point, my place of okay, I probably started my day with this. I don't look at news, but I still I'm ingesting things that are not me. Then in nature, I go and I open up and I just walk. I don't listen to anything. I just walk. And typically it's talking to the dog, sometimes talking to my mom, although usually she's, kind of far enough behind me that we aren't really talking. And then a lot of listening to the birds because it's spring. And it, for me, is this kind of reset. Like I said, it's finding that 0 point. Now, from there, I come home and I usually clean up the kitchen, do the little chores that I have to do for the day. And then I go in. And by that, I mean, I come to my office, and the rest from let's say 10 a.m., I'm sitting in this chair going deep on whatever it is that I need to go deep on. So here's what I want to talk about, is that in every single choice that we make in that setup of our day, we are deciding whose adventure we want to be a part of. So this came to me because I demolished a book that I am going to be sharing with you, but it's going to be a very special episode for me to share. So it's going to be episode 144. And that particular book that I'm going to be talking about has come into my life with such activation. And so much so that I noticed myself recently, if something really activates me, I write the author. I express my gratitude, and I make sure that I'm very detailed and clear about how it's activating me. Now, in this case, this author replied, and it was something that she said that is why I decided to go deeper into what it actually is an activation. Like, why do I feel this in my body so deeply resonant? So what I found out is that we have the choice, like I said, as you're moving through your day, to tune into vibrations. And now, like in the case of me, and I explained, like I look at text messages or the Schumann resonance or the weather, right? But let's say what I used to do before my awakening is I would go on there and I'd look through social media. Or there was a time that I'd go to the CNN app. And what that does is essentially you're saying to the universe and to your program, your free will, this is the activation that I choose. So it doesn't matter if we're talking high vibrational content, low vibrational content, middle of the road, none of it matters. What matters is that you're choosing to be a part of that choose your own adventure. So the way they showed it is like when you ingest through visuals, through sound, I guess through all the senses, when you ingest any vibration that is put out there with intention, and now that can be with the highest intention, with the lowest intention, or just, media, not really. Sometimes I believe media doesn't even, they just are the talking heads of energy. It's not that the news anchors is trying to, control or put these energies out there to keep you from thinking yourself. But when you ingest any kind of vibration or frequency from someone, you're saying, I want to feel the threads that you feel. I want to be on that same program or that adventure. So in the case of this book that I'm going to talk about in episode 144, man, it just blew open my whole adventure. And by that, I mean like so many things that I download and I experience in my day-to-day life were reflected in this particular channeled information and went even deeper than I've been able to go. So it's almost like it brought me the codes that I needed to open up even deeper. So what they said is basically what you did in resonating with this particular book and opening up your mind to that adventure, you're now going to experience an amplification of those codes or that adventure. So every day, like think about all the different things that we're choosing, right? That's what I'm talking about when I say there's threads all around you. Because you are pulling in like so many different ideas, and I do it too. I don't go on social media very often anymore, but I do tune into YouTube, and if something like catches my attention, and I usually do it with people I don't follow, because to me that's like the algorithm bringing through something that I may find a piece of what I'm searching for, even unconsciously in this particular video. But all of those things are here. Like they're all part of my program, my energy. And essentially we are moving through life collecting all of these pieces that are around us. And we're saying, I want this. Let's like grocery shopping. I want to take this and this. And with all of this, this is going to be my adventure. Okay. Now, let's say you're moving down your journey and you decide like, oh, that particular thing that I chose a year ago doesn't feel like part of me anymore. So I'm not going to tune into it anymore. And what happens is it doesn't leave, like it's still here in your shopping cart, but it's like it moves to the back of the shopping cart. Like it's there. It's part of you because you ingested it. It's like it's literally living in your DNA now, but you're not investing in it anymore. But it's still there. So that is that little, like, let's say it's a little box of chocolates, I don't know, that you're like, no, I don't want that anymore. However, it's staying back here in my cart, and it is going to, when I'm in deciding what to ingest moving forward, it's always going to be there as part of my filter of what I am attracted to. So essentially, we are the creators of our game. Like, I know I've talked about this before and how the view of Ascension through a video game, but essentially we also choose our own game. So why this came up and why it matters is like, and you guys know I talk about discernment all the time, but really tuning into, does this content that I'm scrolling through, watching, a part of, or even investing in, because let's say you invest in a course or a class or, a reading or, it's endless, obviously, or even an aura spray, let's say, all of it. Are you discerning to find it in your heart space? Like, is that my resonance now? Is this truly aligned with where I'm at and where I want to move to? Because let's say we stay in that same, like if I go back to who I was almost 4 years ago, digesting CNN and, up on the politics and getting frustrated with all of that. And I repeat that every day, every year, you are choosing that adventure. And that's why when we look at it, like why people are so polarized and are so invested in what's happening politically is that most of those people have chosen that adventure every night when they get home from work, or every day, in conversation or through social media or what have you. So it's like the less diversified you are in your adventure, the more dogmatic you're going to get in that adventure that you are choosing. Now, is that wrong? I don't think so. I feel like everybody is here to live their own custom personalized video game or their own adventure. So can I look at, let's say, my mom and say like, okay, I know she listens to audiobooks that are like mysteries or political crime, that kind of thing, because I hear it when she's in the kitchen, or she's listening to the news, or she loves HGTV. And then aside from that, she's working. So those are her adventures that she's kind of surrounding herself with, right? And then after our walks every day, she wants a Starbucks. So we stop off at Starbucks. And I am proud to announce that I have been able to break my habit. No more Starbucks, girl. But for her, it's still resonant. So she wants to stop every day to get this. And of course I do. And I'm not like feeling any which way about it. But what I'm saying is that she's chosen a program that she's repeating every day. If you don't change your program, how would you expect your vibration to change? So, and I'm not saying she wants to change her vibration, because I think there is an interest, but I don't know, it doesn't feel like it's an urgent interest. So she's curious, but she's not like actively, working on and cultivating, bringing up those subconscious things that are ready to express. And this morning I thought, you know what though? Like there's two ways to look at it. She does these same actions every day and isn't getting any different results, but then I thought, does she really want different results? And maybe her personality says like, oh, I want to do this, or I wish I had this, in her case, like we walk and her goal is that she wants to get fitter. And I thought like, because she got a new Apple Watch, I wonder, because now it's tracking her calories that she burns. And I was thinking, but it's just going right back when you get the Starbucks. But I didn't say it because that's her program to figure out. Like that is not mine. And I want you guys to understand that especially if we look at consciousness and the spiritual teachers out there and the content, like it's amazing how it's growing. And I mean, I'm a part of that. And I think the more voices out there, the more nuance that you can get to in discerning what your vibration is. What I'm finding is that by me putting out my vibration here, it's drawn in like the bestest friends I've ever experienced in my, like, and by that I mean like the most soul aligned friends that I've ever had in my entire life. Also, it's brought in like these synchronistic moments that I could never have dreamed of or even have hope for. And yet you're putting out of your vibration. So it's coming back to you because I'm choosing that adventure. I'm saying, here it is. This is me. Now, who wants to like, almost like a moth to a flame? Like who's part of these threads that I've cultivated? Let's say that. And that's my adventure. Now, my adventure can change every day. And I feel like I would say it changes like every few weeks, like something. I'm always, my eyes, my ears, all of my senses are open and ready to jump down any hole or that's calling me. I'm never like fixed in that this is my day or this is as far as I can open. So out of nowhere, things can come and I'm like, okay, I put myself on a no-buy diet for a month because I was like, I need to just look at all the beautiful things that I have and that all the books that I want to read and really hone myself down here. Okay. Like stop getting distracted by all the new shiny things that are coming because I feel like every day there's something new. And I held very, very good to that. The month ended 2 days ago, but there was one book, and it's this book that will come out in episode 144 that I knew it was worth breaking my no-buy month. And it was. It helped. So having that quiet time of saying like, okay, all of these things, whether it's like new spring clothes or stuff for the house or whatever, all of the things, they're going to be there in a month. If I can just quiet the busyness to stay present and really tune into what is really trying to come through to me, maybe I'll be there and less distracted that I will see it. And then I will have the time to go into it. And this just boomed open a whole new adventure. And it activated so many codes within me. And I would say it's still activating those codes because it doesn't just happen one and done. It's like when you ingest something new, some new content or new awarenesses, they have to filter down now through my experience or my adventure and find like where they're going to land within me. Like how deep do I feel resonance to this? Because then when you are able to really feel into that particular activation, you meet it where it is, right? Like let's say I had bought in the same book but had been distracted by all the other things, it would have been like a lot of my other books on my shelf that just I bought and I feel like I need to get to, but I haven't gotten to them yet. So when we are centered and really able to feel into someone's activation towards us, especially on this ascension journey, it has the potential to really catapult your experience. But here's the thing I'm kind of realizing too, is that those new adventures, they can't come in unless you're ready to meet them. Like I feel like if we keep ourselves like, and by that I mean me, because I can only look at my experience. But if I keep myself distracted, like I've cut out the biggest distraction, which for me was social media. But there's always things, there's every day there's things that come up and that I start chewing on. And if I go down rabbit holes, I'm like, I could spend all day doing that. And I know that they're there for me to help my growth and definitely, how would I say this? They only show up because I'm ready for them. But what I'm trying to say is that I'm realizing that the more present that I can become while ingesting a activation, it takes on such different meaning, and I can fully open, like almost like open my heart to the experience. So I'm going to give this example of the oracle deck that I told you guys about last week, I believe. The Wild Harmonic Oracle. The Mystery School online, the depth that if I am centered and reading, let's say, the quotes that he has on there, or the wizard's reflection, man, it's like every sentence is speaking to my soul. Now, I could read the exact same message, but being distracted, I just read it. I read it like I read anything, which is my brain is just trying to digest it, but it's not feeling it. So what I'm saying is that when you want to really feel an activation from anything, the more centered and the more undivided your attention is, it has the potential to, I would say, turn on DNA codes within yourself, because it's like, actually, I think I talked about this. It was called Multidimensionality in Action. I think I did that back in December. Everything that is communicated is carrying many levels of teach, or again, we say this word, activation. Wherever you are is where you're going to digest it. So in my case, the more distracted I am, I'm only getting that surface level, okay? Now, let's say I clear out social media, I clear out things I don't need, I move up a level to, let's say, the second level of understanding. Now, in my case, like the next level for me was, I'm going to not be activated or like think I need all the tools, the things, the like books that come through my daily experience. So cut that out. Now, my monkey mind is like, okay, well, now all of the things that help me escape, or help keeping me less centered I've put to the side. I gave myself 30 days. Like anyone could do 30 days. And in those 30 days, the intensity that I felt, everything that I intentionally experienced amplified. I mean, it literally amplified. So when you choose, in the case of this adventure of this book that I'm going to talk about in a few episodes. Now, let me just say this. I've already read the book, but I want to read it again, and I have time because it's only 2 episodes away. So that's what I'm talking about. I grasped it. I mean, I would say about 75% of it I knew, but I know that there are deeper codes in there that I need to still work through. So that's what I'm talking about. Like, if you guys really want to be activated by someone, like this is what I would say. If you, for example, are tuning into me every week, if you are a part of my vibration, you feel a resonance, the next step with me would be doing the Human Design Ascension Blueprint. Because what I'm finding is that for those that have come to it and feel the call for it, it is giving them exactly what they need in 4th dimension to get to 5th. And I'm telling you guys, not many are at 5th because we're not, I mean, look, it's like we're all trying to get to 5th. Like, I have my toe in 5th and I can see myself in 5th, but I'm still working through 4th. So most people are in that, or I would say that especially if you're listening to this, you're in 4th, move into 5th. But there's always things that someone outside of you, if they're concentrating and centered their energy on your experience, they're going to be able to point and prod at those pieces of you that are going to activate you to get you to do the work, to get you to the higher dimension. And I mean, this is just another example of when we take classes, and I'm guilty of this too. I mean, I haven't signed up for a class in probably a year, but when I do, the last class I signed up for was called Galactic Astrology, which I'm fascinated by. but I'm probably 33% of the way through. And the reason is I'm too distracted to like really absorb what's going on. And I feel like going forward, if we like made this pact with ourselves that we will only move forward with what resonates, and I have time to really open my heart to, you're going to find your experience of ascension multiply like exponentially, because all of these teachers, or all of these, let's say, I mean, even Auric Sprays, they're all teachers. They're all here for us. But are we quieted down and centered enough to feel them? You know, like really be present with them and read between the lines, because that's what it feels like when I'm going deep on a subject, or when I'm really open to receiving what the codes are of this activation. It's like the words don't change. They're the same no matter if I'm distracted or centered, but my depth of the space, the void in between each word is like I don't think I'm a very smart person. I mean, I don't know if I've ever told you guys that, but like Richard always says, that's not helpful, because he's super book smart. And I just feel like there's too many other things to think about than book smart. So I just don't, like, my spelling is atrocious. I'm just not, that doesn't matter to me. But the depth of myself opening when I'm centered and working through an activation, it's like I see multidimensionality. I can see it from every perspective, not just this human vessel perspective. So that is what an activation is. It is someone or something that can take you to the multidimensional parts or fractals of yourself, and then look back down on it from not only their perspective and your perspective, but the environments, the timeline that you're in, and understanding exactly why this came to you at this time. And then it's like, boom, 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 boom. Like in the example of the third eye sensory journey, I could see it in the case of Richard choosing the journey, and also Leia being there for the journey. Like I could just see it boom, boom, boom for them. And then me just being like so humbled and grateful to be a part of their centeredness. And basically, think about this. Are we moving through this simulation conscious or unconscious? Distracted or centered in the now? And I mean, it's going to be a scale, because I mean, if I look at myself, I'm the same. Like I go through like super intense moments of really connecting with the sun. This is something I'm doing lately, is if I'm driving and the sun is out, I'm opening my my skylight, which I haven't done. I don't even know the last time. I've had the car for so many years. I don't think I've ever opened it other than 2 times. So I open that up, and then I put on my high vibrational music, and then I just absorb the sun in that state of what's lighting me up, sound vibrationally. And that's how I drove home the other day. And I'm saying, like, that's an example of being in the present now, absorbing what was available, the sun. And sometimes it's just, if it's not sunny, it's just the sound, the music of these codes of these songs. That's why I tell you guys, like, oh, this song needs to come through, because I'm able to go in between the words and feel it, like really feel it. So I'm going to ask you guys, what are you activated by? I think it's something that really needs to be talked about and starting to pay attention. Like if I am activated by someone that's a teacher or a modality or a lesson, am I giving it my centered self to meet it? Because it clearly is coming in for a reason, right? Like obviously. But am I there to meet it? And how long is it going to hang out in my peripheral, in my shopping cart, until I be like, wait a minute, didn't I buy that book? Let me go look for that. I think that author sounds familiar or whatever. And now I'm ready. But that could be like a year from now, and your higher self is like, dude, we told you about that a year ago. You weren't ready. It was ready for you. You weren't ready for it. So my question to you is, what are you activated by? And are you giving it everything? And if, let's say, you have a life that is so crowded and you don't have time and space, pick one thing. Just pick one thing. And when you have that hour to yourself, like maybe it's making yourself a cup of tea. And like in my case lately, I've been going outside at sunset and being in the rays of the sun as the sun's going down. And I'm going into this particular book that I'm talking about. And it's like, the animals are walking around. Sometimes my mom comes out and sits with me, but I'm giving me time. I'm giving me undivided time, and I'm dedicating it to this activation that I feel, not just that I see or that came to me in a serendipitous way, but that I can live and that I can choose that adventure now. And I can open up myself to experience myself on a much, I would say, crystal clear journey, honestly, like where you see through every experience and every interaction through the lens of what you're being activated in. And then on the flip side, pay attention. And again, this is for me too. Taking a breath and like really trying to work through, like maybe someone that I followed a year ago is no longer resonating. And I know that because they'll come up in my YouTube feed and I don't even look at the video. Why do I still follow that? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I know myself, I need to start clearing out these cobwebs so that my actual experience and my actual adventure is in full-blown color and centered in the now, not in the I want this in the future or I'm still hung up on this in the past. No, that doesn't exist. So how do I get it to my now moment? And then you're going to find everything from there is just like boom, boom, boom. And you start to see it everywhere. And I'm going to talk about an experience that happened to me today that has to do with the book that I'm going to share in 2 weeks. But it was reflected back to me in the form of someone getting a symbol from this book tattooed on their head and it coming into my experience today. And it's somebody I know. That's what I'm talking about. Like when you are amplifying that adventure, it just amplifies. Like, I don't even know, it takes on a life of its own and it's drawing back to me the amplification of that. And I am so excited to share that book with you guys. So I want you to really discern, and that word discern is everything. It's not is my mind curious about that content? But do I feel it? And the other thing is this activator actively wanting me to think, or are they just giving me their experience? Meaning like their, how do I say it? Their perspective on a topic, or their perspective on, I don't know. The thing that's coming to my mind right now is the Galactic Federation, for example, because that's in my feed that I'm ready to let go of. But what I'm saying is that, are you needing that person's perspective? Are they giving you back to you to find your perspective? Do they make you think about your own, how do I get there? How do I stop going from watching the TV to being the experience, right? I've been thinking about that too, is like, are these teachers out there really wanting people to grow and experience it for themselves, or are they just becoming like the news, And even thinking about that, I think, okay, like now I need to go through the content that I ingest and see, is this more like news, or is this an activation that's helping me find it in myself? Lots of things to think about this week. I always hope this is helpful, and I hope that you take this one especially to heart, because my God, you guys, there are parts of this planet that are in fifth already, and those adventures are available to us all. But are you choosing it? Are you choosing that? Are you opening your heart up to the magic that this life has for us? And I feel like at this particular moment, it's no wonder that we chose this incarnation and why it's so special, because typically in our adventures, we were limited to, like, let's say 10 options. Now it's like infinite options. And when someone looks at you as like, you're crazy, it's because they're at the polarity of that adventure. Like there is just no connection anymore, because we have such a scale to choose from. And are you choosing yours wisely? And am I choosing mine wisely? And I know it's something I need to choose every day. And even just having this conversation with you, it's making me, like, you can see the wheels in my own mind thinking like, okay, where can I cut? Where can I cut back? Where can I spring clean and get centered so that I can experience everything? An example of this is the woman that I met in Joshua Tree 2 weeks ago. I think I told you guys, she's comes to San Diego, and tomorrow we're doing a sunset breath work on the beach and then a cold plunge in the water, which I'm always cold and I cannot wait for this experience. I know it's right for me because I sent from a centered place, obviously met her, but on top of that, it's pushing every comfort zone that I have. And that's where the growth is. But let's say I didn't really go into and experience her as a person. What if that meant that I didn't know that this was a vibrational match, and then I let that whole relationship just kind of fall because I didn't know it was there even. I wasn't present enough to feel her centeredness. I mean, that's an example. In action. So I wish you guys well, and I will talk to you next week.